Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about our good friends from Beastgrip because they just released a brand new lens. So let's talk about the new Pro Series 2x teleconversion lens. So yes, there are a ton of just lenses on the market, right? And so why would you possibly consider this over some of the others? The first one should be pretty clear. I wish I still had one of those really cheap ones that you can find almost anywhere, but the lens elements on them are like this small. They're crazy small. And if I take the lens cap off this, I mean, you can just see how large that is. I mean, let me grab an actual lens. Okay, obviously very different camera and use case. There is a 𝗖𝗛𝗘𝗖𝗞 Cine 15, so a real Cine lens, and the lens element isn't that much smaller. So what that means is you're going to lose significantly less amount of light going through these larger lens elements than something much smaller. You also have legitimate glass. I know I'm talking about like the super cheap ones, but again, anyone who's like, why would I spend, 150 bucks on this when the other ones are literally like $10 or 20 bucks? Well, those a lot of times have like plastic lens elements or very cheap glass. This is going to be much higher quality glass in there. The housing is a full metal build, and you have internal threads, so any 58mm lens filters like this Beastgrip ND filter will fit right on top of there, and they all have internal threads as well, so technically you could stack filters if you wanted to add like a polarizer or anything like that. All right, so now let's talk about the probably most obvious thing that you've probably half typed the comment for: why on earth would I buy a 2x lens for my iPhone, especially 12 Pro Max, that already has a 2.5x lens built into it? Now, if you're just the casual shooter and you don't buy any like extra mobile filmmaking accessories for your phone, you're probably not. And that's just plain old truth, but also I don't really know why you're watching this video. But if one of those reasons is to learn, let me hit you with some knowledge. All three cameras on the back of not only iPhones, but any phone are not created equal. Usually there's one of the lenses that is kind of the main sensor. In the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro Max specifically, the regular wide main camera is by far the best. It has the significantly larger sensor, meaning much larger pixels. It's got the better stabilization. And so if I am shooting something that's more professional, if I wanted to use this for client work, if I didn't have any other cameras, like I know a lot of people out there do, thing looks great. Maybe it's a little low lit environment or need better dynamic range, better colors, or you zoom into the picture or video afterwards and it looks pretty good. But then you go to the ultra wide camera or the telephoto camera and the noise level is way higher. Colors are worse, less dynamic range, and just overall, it's a lesser quality image or video unless you are in like perfect shooting environments. And so that's why lenses like this exist, because I can use the main sensor and the main wide angle lens on this, but then put a 2x conversion to it and get that more telephoto focal view that I want while still getting the same pixel sizes, color, dynamic range, and everything we just talked about. So let's see how it installs. And for this, I'm going to use the Beast Cage specifically made for the 12 Pro Max. I love this packaging. Alrighty, if you're new around here, Beastgrip makes this insane cage that this isn't gonna be like a daily driver cage by any means. I mean, you could, but that'd be pretty ridiculous. This thing is solid metal head to toe, not a piece of plastic on it. So anyways, I'm going to pop this guy open, and then I'm going to put this right in. Little like rubber bumpers so it doesn't scratch up your phone or anything. That in there, and then hear the nice click. Phone is perfectly in there. Face ID, all the touch still works. You can reach all parts of the screen just fine. I'm not gonna fully rig it up, but I think having a little right handle could be a nice little grip. So when Beastgrip was telling me about this lens, one thing that they pointed out is that they are advertising to iPhone only and recommending to people that they use it for the Beast Cage Plus. Because since this is a telephoto lens, the optics are a bit different and much more sensitive. And so if you're using something like their universal cage, which is awesome, the Beastgrip Pro, where you can essentially put any phone in this, whether it's iPhone or Android, because you can completely resize the entire cage, which is great. But when you're using something that requires like near precision to get proper focus and everything, they're saying if you buy this, just be careful. You'll have to get a perfect fit on it. Otherwise, your results may vary, not getting like perfect focus and stuff. And what they told me about Android is any Android phones they've tested with this lens, they weren't able to achieve infinity focus. And so it will work for more close-up shots, but if you're just like aimed out, into the world, shooting like a landscape or of a city or something, it's probably not going to focus properly. So if you're specifically looking for like macros or close-up shots, maybe this will work on your Android phone, but just keep that in mind. Those are the reasons why they're kind of saying iPhone specifically. And so because this cage is so precise, I know that I can just put my phone in it and it's fine. Take the back cap off, squeeze that right on, front lens cap off. Now we have a very nice telephoto setup. Now in my experience, the characteristics of the lens don't really change from the standard iPhone shooting. But one thing that I do notice that is different is this thing likes to flare depending on how like sharp your light sources are. So I'm using obviously a softbox and I have some of these tubes. And so if I record here, and by the way, I'm recording in the Beastcam app, which is Beastgrip's own professional recording, so you can get 10-bit HDR, a little bit higher bit rates, and a bunch of other features. I'll leave, of course, in addition to the hardware, the app linked down below. But anyway, you can see here that I have these tubes, this big softbox, smaller tubes over here, and then like my computers, which has like a purple backgrounds, throwing off stuff there. And you can see how like much it flares. Now, if I treat my hand like a matte box, you can see they go away, which obviously you can see my hand because it's not a perfect matte box. But so it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Plenty of lenses flare up like this when having a light source go into it. Again, huge lens element. And personally, I really kind of like the flares. They kind of give me very vintage lens vibes to them, but I just wanted to show this. So that way, if you like or don't like that characteristic, it's up to you. Beastgrip, if you could actually make like a little sun hood that just fit onto the filter, maybe you do and I just missed it somewhere. But that would be awesome because that would cure basically all of the flaring. 'Cause it's such a big lens element. There's so much room for light to come in there. But when it comes to the sharpness and everything, it seems pretty much the same. Now, a nice thing too is we've all been working towards bigger sensors, which usually leads to better depth of field when shooting something close up. So if you put your hand close to the sensor, the background blurs out a bit more, and that's not the same as the like software blurring that a lot of phones have started getting the feature of to basically mimic like what you can do on FaceTime per iPad now, where it like blurs the background. That's not real, that's just software generated. But since you're using actual optics here on a larger sensor, it is going to give you a nice shallower depth of field when shooting a closer up subject. Just wanted to say thanks to Beastgrip for sending this lens out to me early so I could check it out and give you guys a review pretty much right at launch here. Of course, if you're interested in learning more, all of this stuff will be linked down in the comments below. And before you leave, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, much appreciated. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. That was louder than I expected.